Hi, team. I'm excited to be here. How are you?
I'm good. How about you, Jorge?
Very good, very good. There's a big change happening. We're
Yeah.
transitioning from Walmart DSS, decision support, all into Walmart Luminate. And I'm
Well,
excited. I'm excited
yeah.
to support our supplier community. I'm excited to have a conversation with you. It's going to be a fun day.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Rest in peace to decision support. But yeah, Luminate's got some good tools in it. It's a little concerning for suppliers. It's just a lot of unknowns. But yeah, we've got some good information today. I think we can share with everybody.
Awesome, awesome. Let me quickly go through the agenda. So we're going to do a brief intro into who's Tim and who's Bobs, who's Jorge. Then we're going to talk more about Walmart Luminate. I call it the Walmart Luminate 101, but again, this is just a starting point. We could definitely have some other courses. We have somewhere around 30 minutes. So we're going to talk about the journey from Retail Link DSS to Luminate. Then we're going to talk about the three modules of Walmart Luminate. This one being channel performance, customer perception, and shopper behavior.
Yep.
Then we're going to talk about the reports you can build with Luminate, mostly specific towards channel performance.
Yep.
Then we have, and then we're also going to be talking about DSS versus basic charter versions. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the report, but where we're going to be spending most of our time today is we have polled our supplier community, and there's a bunch of Q&As that we have received from a few of them, from not a few of them, from many of them. So
Yeah.
we're going to be doing a really rapid fire question and answer that we're going to be
Good.
also sharing by the end. So that's the plan
Good.
for today. Anything you want to add?
No, I'm excited for all of this. The Q&A stuff is, I think, the most important part. I know you guys get a bunch of questions through your website, through LinkedIn, and everybody. We get the same thing. So it's going to be exciting to be able to address some of these very, very common bops and trend results. We are third-party companies. We don't work for Walmart. We don't work for Retail Link or Luminate. We are third-party companies. We obviously there'll be references to Walmart and Retail Link and decision supports and Luminate and all of that. We are third party, so there are no affiliations, trademarks, brands used between the two.
As a quick introduction, Tim, I think you're speaking, so I think everyone in the supplier community knows you. So please give us a quick intro so that we can get started.
Sure. I don't know that it's, but I've been around for a while. Yeah, my name's Tim Carey. Own Trend Results. We've been around since somehow 2007. That seems like yesterday, but we started off as a full service consulting, providing third-party analytics, consulting services, line review prep. And about 10 years ago, we got training side of things as well, where we were providing Retail Link training courses, onboarding suppliers, doing advanced analytics, things like that, teaching them more of the analytics side of what to do with the data once they get it from Retail Link. And now, yeah, the next chapter is everybody scrambling and getting positioned for the end of decision support and the beginning of Illuminate. So we're excited with that.
Likewise here, just to give a brief intro. My name is Jorge Risquez, co-founder and CEO of Bops. I have spent the past 15 years really helping optimize the reduction of lost sales, inventory waste, and markdowns at the shelf for CPG companies. I started working for Deloitte, mostly as a Deloitte consulting, worked with some of the many brands that you're seeing in here. And then I started my own company called Bops. I'm the co-founder and CEO. It's a commerce inventory intelligence platform helping CPG brands avoid stockouts and overstock at the shelf. So we got a lot of interesting things happening around data analytics, automated workflows, around the CPFR, collaborative replenishment. So part of our mission is to really help you suppliers be able to kind of win at the shelf. So Luminate is a key aspect of what we do, and a few other retailers. So today we're going to be focusing on Luminate and Walmart, and we hope we answer most of your questions. But we will always be open to answer any questions if you guys have any after the call. Tim, this has been a long journey. 32 years ago, DSS was launched, decision support. So give us a little bit of an overview of what you have learned and what have happened.
Yeah, decision support is a very familiar thing to anybody who's logged into Retail Link. If you've ever seen any kind of data from Retail Link, Excel reports shared to you by your buyer, high likelihood it came from decision support. It is kind of amazing to think back that it was 32 years ago that it was implemented, because it worked, and it's worked until now. It's a little clunky. The user interface, obviously needed an update, and some of the information, since the rapid onslaught of e-com data and trying to get this omni-channel data and stuff, they just needed a new take at it rather than trying to squeeze some new features into an older system. So yeah, it's been around for a while. It shares all of your store and item data, which gives suppliers a great advantage, to be able to see how their products are performing at store level, at DC forecast level. So it gives them some good planning and tools, some good reactive tools as well. And so it didn't really, the bad part is it was so long ago that there was no such thing as integration back then, talking to other websites and talking to different portals, and APIs and stuff. And so it has, I think Luminate is honestly a little bit behind the times. I think it needed to happen about 5 years ago, probably, if not more. But I can't imagine on the programming side what it would have taken to do all of this stuff. So it is exciting as we started to dig in to see what's happening with Luminate.
Absolutely. And if I could add on top of that, I think Walmart has been at the forefront of innovation, right? In 1990s, early 20s, by sharing the store item data to be able to collaborate with you suppliers. So one of the things that started to happen back in the day was the flow of data and EDI. So how do we standardize the flow of data? One of the things that we're starting to see today, it's the flow of intelligence and standardizing those protocols of communications to flow of intelligence so that Walmart and the supplier could win to having the right product at the shelf. But more deep into that is, how do we really suffice the consumer tastes that are changing in a rapid pace in today's world? And I think the second piece that you mentioned that I really love is integrations. I think today applications are now starting to talk to each other. They're composable. And the fact that we start to see really what is behind the architecture of Walmart Luminate, I think there's tremendous progress that has been made and yet to be made as we start to see how these platforms are going to start communicating with other platforms, supplier systems, from an API perspective. So I think lots of exciting things happening, and lots of exciting things to happen in a very near future.
Yeah, I agree. I think the addition or the introduction of Walmart Luminate is going to be the beginning of a lot of changes. I think you're right that things are going to be a lot more integrated. It's going to take some onboarding. It's going to take some new learning new skills and new portals. But ultimately, I think this is a very good thing for Walmart to do.
And you're starting to see, Tim, new applications like Supplier One, which is kind of combining Adyen 360 and some sort of like a Nova management. So again, things are changing at a rapid pace. So I think I'm super excited here to kind of talk more about what is Walmart Luminate so that we could educate our suppliers. So I'll pass the ball to you, and I'm going to be more than happy to complement based on some of our.
So quickly, Walmart Luminate is divided into two different type of programs, which gives you different access levels. Walmart Luminate as a whole is roughly divided into three different types of data. One is channel performance. If you've worked with the decision support, that's mostly what we're talking about here. Your sales and inventory data, supply chain forecast, sales forecast, your supply plan or order forecast, markdowns, returns, very similar stuff to what you were already getting in decision support. Beyond that, the stuff that you're getting in the Luminate Charter version would deal with the shopper behaviors and perceptions, which is some incredible insight that decision support did not give you access to. That is the piece that I'm most excited about really diving into and seeing suppliers dive into, because that's when you can really start predicting and merchandising differently. There's some great success stories out there. So that part's exciting. I'm going to let Jorge, I'm going to let you talk about the shopper behavior and customer perception, because I know you guys are a lot more involved in that aspect than we are.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you sharing it. And I really wanted to kind of, you and I were doing a little bit of work before that there was a very strategic angle that the Walmart Connect team did around Luminate, which is the source from what we called the journey of a product from source to shelf, which is really where you could see channel performance, and it's divided into basic and charter. And we're going to talk about that in a second.
Yep.
But then the intersection, which is the retail store, where it's the journey of the consumer to buy that product. And the reason why that makes a lot of sense, if you look at this slide from left to right, you have channel performance. It's really a replica with obviously a few caveats and differences that we're going to point out today. And we're going to spend most of our time talking today about channel performance. It's a replica of decision support, where you mentioned it already, sales and inventory data at a store item level. It's granular. There's a few things missing, like purchase orders, where you need to go grab them from Nova, but there. Then you have channel performance, which is the charter version. Charter being, it's not the free version, it's the paid version. Here, it's very similar to channel performance basic, but you got more exceptions or more detailed data like omni-channel performance, or where can you track your e-commerce or your digital spend on advertising on your e-commerce. You also have exceptions about the lost sales root cause analysis, so you could really get different type of root causes. Is this because we didn't have inventory in transit? Is this because we have a fill rate problem? So a few other new things that I think are happening are indicators or omni-channel indicators that are first-time pick rate or Neil picks, which Neil picks is, I think it's an extremely important metric that we're using for on-shelf availability algorithms. So those are the different things that right now are available at Channel Performance Charter. Now, if you start to really go towards the journey of a consumer to the store, it's where shopper behavior comes in. So this could be mostly analogous to your what we call the basket or category benchmark data. So this is really understanding what's behind the consumer buy. So Tim and Jorge and Matt, as a consumer, when you go into the Walmart store, what are the different products that we both go buy and why? And I think that's where we start to gather. I think Walmart is giving deep granularity with very high frequency and high latency data for category benchmarks, where you as a consumer brand could understand what are your benchmarks, what's your brand positioning, how could you diagnose your performance within the category against kind of the different channels, but also the different kind of category contenders or competitors. Right. But you understand. Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
Yeah. One thing on shopper behavior, these kind of market basket reports, those, if you've been in decision support enough, market basket reports were part of decision support. They were very, very basic, but they have been gathering this data. Walmart has forever. Purchase quantity, the number of your items in an average cart, the average retail value of a cart, the purchase frequency, whether you came back and purchased the same product 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, some incredibly invaluable data, but the reports were just clunky. There were, 20-year-old macros that they were built on. So this was one of the most exciting things to me with the charter version, is that they were going to add this in a diving a heck of a lot deeper than the canned kind of market basket reports that were in DSS.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Tim, and following up towards that comment. Let's just say you're a consumer of my brand. I know, Tim, how loyal you are now. I know if you're I know what type of cross shopping you're doing. If you're actually switching, right? Because I don't know, there was no product at the store and you go and switch by competitor. Or are you repeating? Are you really having a repeating pattern? So those are the type of things that you start to really gather insights at a very granular and high level. I think depending on how you want to go towards it, you start gathering those insights from shopper behavior. And I think the last one, which I don't want to leave behind, is product assortment. And when you're launching new products, you could really use this shopper behavior to kind of improve your product assortment, your mod reset. So I think there's tremendous opportunities that is happening around it. And I think Walmart has done a tremendous job around it.
Yeah. The assortment stuff was that they're offering now in Charter was similar to a report called What Sells With My Item, that would give you top 10 items within the same category and outside of the same category as a specific item that you had selected. So you had to do them one at a time. If you've got 50 items, you'd have to run 50 different or What Sells With My Item reports. But they really did give you some good insight, like 20 or 30% of the customers who buy my item are also buying one of these items that's a competitive product, but we have it in our catalog. So why not capitalize on that brand loyalty that they already had to our product and just offer that additional assortment option? So these market basket reports and shopper demographic reports or shopper behavior reports are fascinating to me.
Absolutely. Last but not least, and we're going to go right down into kind of the meat of the conversation today, but
Yep.
I don't want to leave behind customer perception.
Yep.
So customer perception goes around the why behind why Tim is buying a Pepsi versus a Coke. So Tim, I start to really get into your brain with these insights. Now I start to understand or work with you with a really hyper-targeted consumer. I know you're my consumer now. So I have the capability now through Walmart customer perception to have like a direct and very quick, rapid Q&A where I could really start to test new ideas, packaging designs, test or measure price elasticity, marketing messaging for brand positioning. So that's really customer perception. It's really understanding. I usually call it consumer or shopper, but it's really understanding the why around that behavior, which I think for any consumer brand out there, it's extremely important.
Yeah, I haven't seen this kind of thing in a long time from Walmart where they are actively and using this customer data, not in a way that you are not involved as the customer, but literally when you're involved, having conversations between the customer and the supplier through these Q&As and these surveys. They're able to, I've seen some great success stories. I know you had, I think you have a link towards the end of this presentation that has a great article write-up with the head of Luminate at Walmart, just do a big Q&A, and he went through some success stories with Red Bull and I think P&G was on there that are just fantastic implementations of this kind of perception data that we're starting to see now.
Spot on. Last but not least, all the purple boxes, or what we call the charter versions for Luminate, they also have API integration. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but let's just really go down into Walmart Luminate and particularly around channel performance.
Yeah, I think this is probably where a vast majority of suppliers are going to end up. It's the free version. They're already familiar with the data that they're getting from decision support. And so the I guess learning curve isn't going to be as steep as it would be to go into the charter version. So a lot of the suppliers are going to land in this bucket. And you aren't losing a ton of visibility with Luminate than you were getting previously with decision support. Couple of blind spots that you're not going to be able to see. You still can get them through Retail Link like Nova and Item 360. But the general reports that you're able to see, store sales and inventory, this can be all the way down granular, down to store level. Modular plan metrics, seeing how many linear feet your products are on, the size of the modular by store. The store demand forecast that we've known this in the past is your sales forecast or your corporate POS forecast. Your order forecast, thankfully, they didn't remove that from Luminate. This is this really helps with your planners, what Walmart is anticipating ordering from you as a supplier. They call it order forecast, but you probably know this as the supply plan.
Supply plan.
Yep.
Got it.
Store markups and markdowns. This drills down not just to how many dollars or percent of sales were marked down, but actually into the event or the reason that the Walmart personnel at store level, whether that's the store manager or an aisle clerk, it gives them the reason why something's being marked down, whether it's damaged product, whether it was a price matching initiative, end of season type of stuff. So you can really get a feel for how your markdowns and markups are impacting Walmart's bottom line. Omni-channel sales, they have drilled down a little bit more into this, giving you more visibility. This is, I think, a lot of the driver for a completely new portal. The decision support was built for a brick and mortar business, and you started to get a lot more people buying online, especially with their omni-channel and online grocery pickup. And they needed a more robust way to report that data. So that's where you're going to get that omni-channel sales. There's an omni-channel inventory as well. And then product category performance and product availability. Those three on the bottom are part of your charter version of Luminate. And so I wanted to let you maybe talk about those last three down in the charter version.
Got it. No, mostly I spent a little bit of time going into those deep, but in omni-channel sales, you really start to really figure out what based on your sales type, what are your sales performance against channels. On the product category performance is very similar, but you're really going to get more granular level of details to be able to extract that data. In product availability, you have, I think, as I mentioned, Neil picks first time picking as well rate. But I think more importantly, you start to really get granularity of data for root cause analysis for lost sales. So I think that's mostly on the channel performance, but I do agree with you. I think the core of the suppliers are going to stay, or they're going to be kind of navigating kind of the basic version, which again, as you mentioned, it has a couple of blind spots where you now have to go pick up purchase orders in Nova. If you have the charter version, you're gonna get purchase orders through Luminate. But if you have the basic version, you have to do it through Nova. We're going to talk about that in a second. One con that I do want to kind of articulate here, and you already somehow mentioned it, Tim, is that now you have separate reports that you need to pull together and blend them together. So we're going to talk about that as well today. And also bring in some of the pros now. It's way more faster. It's more effective. It's more... It's easier. There's very similar aliases or field names that are going to be kind of represented into what you have back in the days in DSS. So there's the mapping. It's not a one-to-one, but there's definitely some mappings out there that you could use as a reference to build your own reports.
Yeah, I think one thing I don't think we touched about it yet. One of the biggest reasons that Luminate has come about, as opposed to decision support, is decision support was very flexible, which was great. But you would end up getting into line reviews. Suppliers would get into a line review or start sharing email information with their buyers or replenishment managers who might have been running a report in decision support on their end completely differently. And so you're trying to match up timeframes now, and now you're in a line review where you've only got 30 minutes and you're trying to figure out whose data is right. The purpose of Luminate is kind of one version of the truth. And so everyone's going to be aligned. The same data that you have is going to be the same data that Walmart sees, which really helps from an alignment standpoint and from a collaboration standpoint.
Spot on. That leads us into pretty much a comparison between decision support, basic, and charter, and what are you getting and what are you not getting. So we wanted to get towards the details. Most of this information is online, provided by Walmart. We just wanted to kind of categorize it and provide some perspective around it. So, go ahead, Tim.
I think we've touched on some of this, but this does help to kind of chart things out and see what you're going to get for each one. This is basically a comparison chart. The channel performance, that's what you're getting with the basic version, the Walmart Luminate Basic. So you are going to get your sales stuff. You are going to get some basic e-com stuff. You are not going to get this really, really enhanced e-com analytics. You're not going to get the customer perception stuff, all of that source to store type of data, which can be very, very valuable. But you are still getting enough information to do what you were doing in decision support with a couple of caveats.
Absolutely. Any point outs here? Again, as you're mentioning, right? Enhanced e-com sales, you're now going to get them in basic free. You were not getting that in decision support. If I go from top to down, OTIF, you're still going to need to get OTIF from the OTIF scorecard application. You could get it in charter paid. You're going to be able to get it in the granular data, not there. Same with purchase orders, right? Purchase orders, you have to go get them from Nova if you get the basic free. If you don't get the basic free and you paid for the charter, then you could get that data in Luminate as well. Anything you want to point out around this slide?
The last one that is a really good, especially for suppliers who've been doing business with Walmart for a while, is that the data history level. The charter paid version gets you an extra year of data. Decision support has gone back 104 weeks or 2 years of data, which means suppliers a lot of times have had to keep their own archives for data that you might have been selling a product 4 years ago, and now you're selling it again. But you don't have any data from decision support unless you've kept your own archive. So having that one extra year can sometimes really get you some insight into what was going on 3 years ago when you were selling that item previously, or you had a competitive item, or maybe some cannibalization going on, or things like that. So that's a big standout from the charter version. The online drilling down more into stuff. The SWEP program is having that rolled into Luminate is fantastic, and obviously your digital availability to be able to track out of stocks online.
And I think, Tim, I might be sitting down here if I put myself into a supplier's shoes,
Yep.
and I'll be like, wow, there's a lot of digital happening, omni-channel. So
Yep.
number one, and please correct me if we're wrong, but omni-channel is part of the Walmart strategy, right? Now you could have your product
Absolutely.
at the store, but you could also pick them at the store.
Absolutely.
So,
And made a shift. There are analysts years ago that were saying Walmart's in trouble. Everything's going to Amazon now and online purchases, which was true. But what they didn't realize, and Walmart finally realized it, is that they have 4,500 distribution centers already. And as long as they can optimize inventory, they can have somebody order it online and pick it up a mile away. It's already ready to go. They don't have to shop. Or now they can shop online for them, bring it to their door. So I think Walmart finally made that shift and was like, wait a second, we have thousands more distribution centers than Amazon does. We're already positioned to this. And then it was just a matter of optimizing inventory. So I think those kinds of things, when they start that big of an initiative, are one of the reasons why Luminate came out. They tried to jam this e-com data into a brick and mortar database, or a database that was designed for brick and mortar metrics, and they just didn't. They had initially the e-com sales were initially reported on what were called phantom stores and decision support. They just made up store numbers, and all of your sales data went onto these phantom stores. So they were really struggling to give visibility to the suppliers for online stuff, and still going, well, we're having to put a square peg in a round hole. So I think Luminate, again, I've said this since it came out, after I got over the initial fear factor. I think this is a great opportunity for suppliers, whether it's the basic or the Luminate charter version.
absolutely. Just adding on top of that, me being a supplier, just putting myself now there, the fact that now I have digital availability, I have online pickup and delivery in a world where I'm trying to sell my products online, where there's retail media networks so that I could advertise, so that I could actually now control what I could sell at a store or not based on the consumer. I think it's just giving you a lot of mechanisms to measure the performance of our advertising and how you really want to kind of either your supply chain as well. How do I kind of push inventory to particular stores based on extra capacity that I have in my warehouse? So there's a lot of avenues that will unlock into that, but I'll leave that towards another session.
Yep, absolutely.
All righty. So we have a new aspect in here. Anything that we want to point out on report sharing, obviously bot access.
Yeah, so sharing, I guess a couple of things. Sharing reports, if you're familiar with that, it's actually when I get in my older Retail Link decision support training classes, it was surprising how few suppliers knew that you could share your saves template. So if you have someone coming on, taking over a job role from someone who has left the company, you don't have to recreate those reports. You could share them. You cannot do that in Luminate Basic, unfortunately, but it is available in Luminate Charter version. So that is good and very helpful for being able to not just share with new employees maybe, but also to keep everyone who's on the Walmart team looking at the same data, looking at the exact same reports.
That's spot on. From a technical perspective, disclaimer, bot access are out of the basic version. If you want to pull data, it has to be either schedule or manual. Yep. And also, which I think it's really part of the future, which is exciting, is for the charter version, not the basic versions, you have now API data feeds and API feeds, which enables you to really create applications.
Yeah, that part I think is going to be the biggest piece for suppliers. Excel, as powerful as it is clunky, it's time consuming. Right now, I would guess 95% of suppliers are manually downloading reports every week, copying and pasting all that raw data into, a hidden sheet in your Excel template, doing your VLOOKUPs in your pivot tables and all of your charts. And it's just, it's something that could take a day. And now with this API access, this is literally something that you can integrate into a software solution that can do this for you. So you just log in Monday morning and here's your data already visualized, already sorted, filtered, validated. And I mean, it's a huge time savings. So I'm excited. I'm really excited that they finally, I guess, joined the digital age, so to speak.
No, that's awesome. I think I'm going to play devil's advocate here on the flip side for the folks that are mostly our supplier community that are going to be staying on the basic version.
Yep.
There's a lot of manual extractions, blending multiple reports that will have to be done. Again, besides all the positive things that are happening, obviously there's still got to be some work to do to be able to do or save that time, especially as we were operating in Walmart. We knew all of our DSS reports and now things are changing. So it's definitely something that we need to point out there. Anything else that you want to point out of this?
No, I think we've covered most of the pros and cons of each one. Q&A. This is where everyone's going to perk up right here.
Exactly. And next time we should do a live Q&A.
I think we should. That would be probably an 8-hour session.
Exactly.
Answering everyone's questions, but I'm here for it.
Exactly. So just to structure, we briefly mentioned it at the beginning of the call. We pull out the supplier community and we got a bunch of questions that we categorized in 3 major buckets: general, data and reports, and data pools and extraction. And this is more tailored towards the basic free, which is where most of our supplier communities are using right now. As they're asking the question, is charter make sense for us, yes or no? So at the general is going to be everything around ranging about questions around updates, cost, upcoming features, and other various and important general topics. Data and reports goes more in details into kind of interpreting, analyzing, understanding what are those different reports, what do they mean, and how can I use them to make sense of my data, my performance, to either manage my sales and supply chain as a supplier. And then data pools and extractions is mostly around the mechanics. How do I pull, extract the report? How do I going to get my engine working as I supply Walmart the products and have the right product at the right place at the right time? So that's really the category. So we're going to do this at a critical speed, but that's mostly going to be the motive or the scope of the Q&A.
Yeah. How do you want to take turns answering these and asking them and answering? Or I don't want to put one of us on the spot. Let's time share this.
Let's go back and forth. I start asking a question. I start with the first one. You ask the second one, and then we just go from it.
There you go. That's fair.
I'll start with the hard one. How much does Walmart charge for Walmart Luminate charter?
Basic is, thankfully, and I've heard no whispers of whether that is just for now or they're going to start charging in the future. I don't think they will, to be honest. I think it would shut a lot of suppliers off. The Luminate piece is retail sales. So not your sales to Walmart, but Walmart's retail sales to the consumer. The numbers can get up there. So suppliers do have to, look at what the data that's going to be available with charter and just weigh whether they're going to, get more value for those insights by paying for the charter version. I say in a lot of cases, yes, but each supplier is going to have to, make that decision on their own. But it is a percentage of retail sales.
Spot on. Thank you, Tim.
All right, your turn. When is the new deadline for the migration from DSS to Luminate?
So it has been stated that is in Q2 of 2024. So sometime between April, May, and June. If I were you, supplier, I'll get started migrating all my reports.
Yeah, and you have access. If you don't think you have access, you do through either the Walmart Luminate dashboard, or you can go through Retail Link and log into Retail Link just like normal. Go to apps, look for Luminate, and it's the same login credentials, same everything. So you do have access. And like Jorge mentioned, start now, because they haven't said when in Q2. They've just said Q2. So that could be the beginning of April or much later in the quarter.
Tim, I have an accent, and I operate in Mexico or Canada or China, Walmart International, and I'm using DSS right now, as you know. And what is it for me? Should I be learning Luminate? When is this transitioning to my market?
We are telling our suppliers no. for now. There's been no timeline, no guidance on when this is going to roll out to Walmart International. So your Canadian suppliers, Central America, Mexico, there is no guidance. It's coming. Walmart is they want to do everything the same. If you look back historically on their OTIF initiatives and their Nova and their Item 360 initiatives, those were tested. I think OTIF launched on a pilot program in 2017. Then it was launched in the US in 2018, modified a little bit, and then 2019 is when it rolled out. So they rolled out the international version. So I would imagine, if I was going to guess, I would say probably mid next year, once they work the kinks out in the US, that it is definitely coming soon. But for now, no, I don't think anyone needs to be doing any training. You don't have access to it anyway, so it would really be more watching a presentation than interacting with it.
Absolutely. What I do know is a few of our customers in Mexico are starting to get at least the notice that, hey, Luminate is coming. So I think at least the estimation that you're just projecting somewhere around mid next year, it's definitely very, very accurate, or a high probability of being accurate. So I think it's your turn.
Yeah, this is one of the most common frustration questions. It's more of a frustration than a question. I've spent so many years learning and mastering DSS. Why do I have to shift to Luminate now? Is it worth it for me?
I'm gonna go straight forward. It's definitely worth it. You don't have a choice. You need to be able to master it to manage your business at Walmart.
Yep.
Walmart is a trusted partner. It's a big part of my revenue, so I need to make sure that I could sell effectively and manage my inventories efficiently so that it hits my bottom line effectively as well. So you need to learn. Like any change, it's going to be hard. Like when you're doing a system transformation, you're going from one ERP to the other one. You were used to using SAP, and now you got to use NetSuite, or now you got to use Oracle. You got to get used to it. So what I do know, and what we could claim, Tim, is that it works.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've already started onboarding our suppliers. We've probably about 80% done onboarding them to Luminate. It's time consuming. If you've got all your internal templates and account templates that you share internally with Walmart every week, and they're all populated by DSS data, you can get the same data, 95% of it, except the Nova and OTIF stuff, from Luminate Basic. But it's going to come out in a different format. A lot of the stuff isn't more columns, it's more row based. So there's going to be some formatting changes that you're going to have to make. But still think of it as templates. What I would recommend is your data that you need from Luminate, and then figure out how to rebuild your templates. Probably just start from scratch, right? Because the data does come out in some cases, a very different format, but it's the same data.
Spot on. And even if you already have your templates in Luminate Basic, and then by any chance your company decides to migrate to Charter, you're still going to keep those templates.
Absolutely. That's an important
that we have in the next section.
Yeah, that's an important point for sure.
Gotcha. Is there a public list for updates the Luminate team is currently working on? Is there features?
Not that I know of. I don't believe so. But there is a way, and they're proactively marketing this for suppliers who have access to Luminate, which if you have Retail Link access, you do have Luminate access, to get into their support section and put together your little wish list and talk to them about these certain aspects, or this visibility, or these time ranges that we miss from DSS. So definitely, again, get in and play around, make your wish list, and fill out these forms and communicate with Walmart teams on that. They're especially working on these wish lists in the Luminate Charter version for sure.
Spot on.
All right. Will report sharing ever be available in the basic version? When we talk about report sharing, we're obviously talking about sharing the templates that you've created in Luminate.
To my understanding, is not in the roadmap.
Yep. I
have a tough question for you, Tim.
All right.
Is it worth investing in the Charter version? So.
I think I touched on this a little bit. First of all, it's going to require you take a tour. You're going to have to talk with somebody at Luminate Charter and get a tour of the Luminate Charter version, which I think even if you're not considering it, you don't have the budget for it, I would recommend taking the charter tour. After that, they will give you a quote based on, they, like I said, it's a percentage of retail sales. So they'll look up your account and give for the annual fee for having access to the charter Luminate or charter version. After that, it gets down to the balance sheet. It gets down to what kind of value am I going to get out of this, or the fee that we're paying for this data. And I think for some suppliers, and actually quite a few suppliers, the answer is going to be no. They are fairly significant. And even, some of my clients are $100 million a year retail sales clients, and it's a skeleton crew. It's still 4 or 5 people working on this account. So I don't have a definitive answer to that. I would say if you got the money, yes, it's worth it for sure. Just the shopper insights. If your business is a lot digital, if you're doing a lot of online stuff, I would say yes, for sure. If you are looking to get these insights that you can kind of apply cross-merchant, a consumer is a consumer. Walmart consumers are a little bit more specific than like a Target or Amazon consumer. But the way a consumer's interacting and behaving with your product in one retailer could be the same in another or very similar in another. So you can't just think about this as being paid for by your Walmart business. You could use this data in a very broad sense to make decisions with your other merchants as well.
Oof, you brought some very good points. I think we could really spend half an hour discussing about this one.
Yeah.
If I have to give a perspective, I think it really depends on, as you said it, right? Your circumstance, your business type, if you're selling through kind of omni-channels or not.
Yeah.
The stage of maturity you have, not only from a business perspective, but also from a digital perspective.
Yep.
And I think it's a case by case, but I do totally agree with you that take a tour. Understand what are the values that you could get from each of the modules, and definitely start working upon that and know that you have it available. And I think towards the end, you also brought a good point, right? That a lot of consumer brands that are selling through major retailers today use syndicated data that is either coming from IRI, Circana, or Nielsen. So I think, and here it's just, I like to just go straight to the point. The level of granularity and data latency that you're receiving here from Walmart Luminate is fantastic, which could give you insights. And I think this could be a good enough sample to understand your business and your consumer. So again, it really depends because it towards the bottom line, it's your bottom line, it's your P&L, and it's definitely going to cost. So it's really looking if the value kind of outplays the cost, and I think it's going to be on a supplier by supplier basis.
Yeah, one thing I would like to cross off the list real soon or real quickly, if suppliers are already thinking ahead of, hey, what if I just pay this and try to introduce some of these costs to Walmart in terms of higher costs to Walmart? That's not going to happen. Walmart's always fighting their suppliers for lower costs, and so I would caution against trying to purchase this in thinking, well, we'll just, next time we issue a quote to Walmart, we'll build this price into our cost to Walmart. That's not going to work.
Spot on. Good observation. All righty, we're going into the second section, which is data and reports.
Yep. Is this my question to you?
This is your question, yeah.
All right. Do I, as a supplier, have access to a 52-week forecast in the basic version? How about in the charter version?
No 52-week forecast. It's going to be 39, both in the basic and the charter. I'll stop there.
Yeah, and I don't honestly think that matters, to be honest. We're talking about a sales forecast, not your order forecast. But either way, if you've done forecasting, planning, replenishment, looking out 52 weeks is throwing a dart. Everything can change in 52 weeks unless you're selling a very, very staple type of product. You're selling paper towels, you're selling stuff that people are going to buy in a pretty steady, predictable way. The difference between 39 weeks and 52 weeks is nothing. I don't look that forward. I look 13 weeks forward in a forecast. If it's a direct import supplier, maybe a little bit further than that.
And just to keep in mind that this is continuously changing with Walmart Smart Forecast, it's just changing every week. So you're self-adjusting to the demand variability that you have upon your consumer product. So spot on that one.
Yep.
All right. Can I get any store data in DC Metrics data set? So DC metrics is one of the reports that you pull data from your DC. For example, traded store count.
Yep. So the way I'm interpreting this is, can you get a rolled up version of the total number of traded stores per DC? In other words, rolled up store count. The answer is no, you can't. But you can get the data and back into it in Excel. You can run a DC metric report by item and then look up the data in Excel to the report that you actually need. So you can get the data, you just can't get it straight from a Luminate report. Let's see, this is on to you. Is there a way to pull supply plan report in Luminate?
Yes, it's actually on the order forecast, what we call the orders forecast report.
Yep.
There's a little trick in here that if you want to pull, if it's before 2 p.m., you have to choose yesterday from time from.
Yep.
If it's after 2 p.m., you could use today as your time frame. So
yeah,
little tricks.
You know what? That you actually in a I believe it was a post or a comment that you had made to me. Was getting when I first started digging into Luminate that I was getting a bunch of no data found, and because I run my reports but I was selecting today because I wanted the most updated supply plan, and you're like, yeah, you got to wait until 2 p.m. or change it to yesterday's. Your supply plan shouldn't change that much between yesterday and today, but yeah, that is a quick way to get past the no data found message in supply plan. So that was some good insight on your end.
I appreciate it. No, yeah, absolutely. This is just, we're all learning as we go.
Yep.
Is purchase order information or data available in Luminate?
No, when we touched on this, you were able to pull PO data in decision support. That capability hasn't been ported over to Luminate. You do still have availability, but it will be through Retail Link in the app, the Nova app, which is where you're managing POs and doing cancellation requests and MABD requests, and so you'll still be able to get that archived history. It's just pulling from a separate database, but you do still have some different portals that you have to interface with. The good news is that just tells me that Retail Link as a whole is not going away anytime soon. You're still going to have to use Retail Link for your quotes, for your DI stuff, for your transportation. I can't imagine them ever getting rid of Retail Link entirely.
No, spot on. And just to clarify here, for the basic free, you won't have PO data. For the charter version channel.
Correct. Yep, that's true. That's true. Forgot to mention that. Yep, that's true. Do you know store level data store level detail is available in basic, or is it just the charter version?
Yep, it is available in basic. So we do have store detail data. You have your inventory on hands, pipe inventory, just traditional sales. Yep. So you're going to be able to get that.
Yep, which is fantastic. That can allow you to do, keep doing your segmentation analysis and looking for inventory imbalances. You do still have that very granular data.
Yep. Will UPC be available for e-commerce?
From what I hear, they're working on it. There a lot of other data sets are being worked on as well. But from what I hear, they are working on it. You might have some other insight into that as well. But that is the general consensus that I'm getting. Will regular retail be added to the filter? You might want to clarify first what regular retail means to people who might not know what that means.
I think here in this question is brick and mortar, our traditional kind of store sales. Now with e-com, I want to have a segmentation between kind of my traditional brick and mortar stores sales versus kind of e-commerce sales, and where is that? What is the source of those sales? So in this case, right now, Walmart is working on a sales type, so that you can really kind of extract that type of sales type and understand. This is the basic version. You could definitely get this by the charter version, but I know a lot of the suppliers have been claiming for the sales type field or alias in the basic version, and hopefully it's coming soon.
Yeah, and an additional thing on that, even within the brick and mortar side, they do have different retail types.
Yep.
That's what this sales type is going to be. So this is discerning regular retail from any comps that you did, or rollback retail or rollback sales. So they are going to be able to add that. Right now, it is just sales. You get everything.
Spot on. I appreciate you clarifying. All righty, I'll go. Is it normal that I am noticing my sales change in Luminate from 1 week to the next? For example, if I pull week 1 sales last Wednesday, and then again I pull week 1 and the numbers are changing.
Yeah, so I've seen this question a lot since people started on Illuminate, and I think it's because they're looking at the data so much more closely with Luminate rather than maybe these inherited reports that they might have gotten from in decision support. This has always occurred. This is not a new thing to Luminate or Illuminate specific thing. You could get a different data set or different sales information, different in stocks, depending on when you run a report, even in the same week. So it is very common for that to happen. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't see 20, 30% variation. But they're not big adjustments, but they are things that I think suppliers are noticing because they're looking more closely at the Luminate data as it comes out, just to get more familiar with the format. So it is common. It is not new.
Spot on.
Okay, I think we've already answered this in passing, but if my company transitions to charter, will all my saved reports transfer over?
Yes, they will.
Perfect.
They will. And then the next question, is there a way to pull week-to-date information this year and last year in Luminate?
You can, yes. There is a Walmart week-to-date filter. If you haven't built a report in Luminate yet, you might not know what we're talking about. It's kind of similar to DSS, where you're making different column selections and filter selections and time ranges. But yes, there is a Walmart week-to-date after selecting the Walmart date. So there's an extra little step in there. But yes, you can see Walmart week-to-date. This is a summary of probably every other email I get every morning. It hasn't been easy managing our Walmart account with limited time and resources, especially when I'm spending so much of my time trying to figure out Luminate. What say you?
I think it's a reality.
Yep.
We cannot change it. I think it's a reality. So I think on my end, just being extremely transparent, having a commerce inventory intelligence platform that sits on top of the major retailers, and one of them, obviously, it's been traditionally Walmart DSS system. For the folks, we have designed a platform for the folks that just want to stay on basic free. We're just doing manual extractions. We have really inserted really manual operations to extract data and solve some of the pain points to help the supplier communities really reduce this time that works into it. We do have very sophisticated platforms as well for CPFR sales that work kind of with the Walmart Luminate APIs as well. But I think at the core, there are ways to make this easier. And we have designed something called the Monday morning portal. So you know a little bit about it. So I think it's really a transition into kind of the next slide. For those of you that are staying in the basic free, there's a way to really blend and automate all of these reports. Again, it's done manually in the back end because there's no bots allowed. But this could really help you increase sales velocity. You could really get critical replenishment insights and optimize your team's productivity. So I'm going to stop there. But this is something that we have launched into the market over the past, again, we have piloted with a few folks for the past 3 to 4 weeks, and it has some tremendous good insights, but this is definitely available to the whole supplier community.
Yep. And I think you guys are putting on some like kind of bi-weekly or recurring webinars giving tours of this, right? Like free webinars?
Yes. Absolutely. We're just doing bi-weekly. And I think they also serve to kind of talk like we do with you and your suppliers about specific KPIs and indicators you should use, exception reports that you should use when you're going to have your line review. So yes, we're usually doing this. And we're actually having one tomorrow. And I think it's going to be one of those that you're going to be having. But I think on a bi-weekly basis, we're bringing the Luminate Monday morning portal, which also serves to educate the supplier community.
Yep. And we do have that schedule on our website. And I think you've got our website here at the end of this presentation. But yeah, you can go there and search for the Monday morning Luminate portal on our website. And it has your full schedule up there when you guys are going to be doing these free kind of group sessions with multiple suppliers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yes, you're more than welcome to join us tomorrow. And there's going to be way more sessions. So we're going to actually have that as part of this course information. We're also going to be adding the Q&A rapid fire that we just did with you, Tim, and a few other resources that I do think are extremely relevant for the supplier community as they navigate Luminate. Yeah. Anything else that you want to add in here?
No, I think the good part about these webinars that we already have, the first one is tomorrow, is, we're building some time in there for real-time Q&A. So if you've got your own specific questions, we tried to address a lot of them in this. But, like I said, I answer probably 50 emails a day from people with questions about this. So definitely, if you can't make it tomorrow, look at the website. We're at trendresults.com. and you can see the full schedule. Find a completely free webinar. It's usually going to be about 30 minutes, it looks like. And we're going to talk about, Luminate. Jorge's going to walk through the entire Monday morning dashboard and show you a live working version of it. And get your questions answered.
Absolutely. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. Here's our contact information. We're going to put it as part of the course. We're more than happy to collaborate. I think we live and breathe for the supplier community. We live and breathe for commerce, supplier collaboration. So definitely reach out to Tim or myself, Jay Risquez at bops.ai. And if you guys have any questions, we will be here.
Yep, I agree.
It's a pleasure. And thank you,
All right.
Conversations in Retail, for hosting us.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good day, guys.